Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy Sunday. It's back to business here on the channel as we get ready for the week ahead. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive into everything. I'm going to try my best to keep this short, sweet, simple, and to the point for you today. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, let's start off by keeping an eye on the economic calendar. Of course, due to the government shutdown, a lot of these things are going to be tentative, meaning they're not going to be posted unless the government decides to get their stuff together and open things back up, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics can get back to work and finally start providing us with some data. So with that being said, yeah, there's, taking into account of the government shutdown, we can see that there's not much to really go off of. We do get our ADP non-farm employment change, which is good. This will give us some insight into the private sector, at least. It's not the government data, but at least we get something as far as the labor market data. Now, as we know, especially with Powell last week and the FOMC, they lowered interest rates once again to 25 more basis points. And the main key concern continues to be the labor market and the worries within the overall employment sector. So yeah, this is going to be a big deal. And this comes out on Wednesday, 8:15, about an hour and a quarter before the opening bell. Something to pay attention to. Now, we do have the University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations on Friday, and on Monday we do get our ISM data. So some things to keep an eye on, but Wednesday I think is going to be the main key thing here. And then, of course, if the government decides to resolve issues and we can get some of this data out, then we'll kind of pay more attention to it. But Wednesday is going to be my main focus with the ADP data. Moving on to earnings, we got a lot of the major tech out of the way last week with Apple, Meta, Amazon, Google. Everybody, just a lot of companies last week reported. We get another slew of major earnings this week, although we don't have any of the big players, but there's some interesting names. Like we got market darlings, Palantir and Hims reporting on Monday after the bell. Tuesday we have semiconductor powerhouse AMD. We get some Lisa Su. Maybe some frothiness with SMCI, which I'm not really expecting that. We do get Beyond Meat, which I know Beyond has been popping here and there. So, yeah, fake meat, I don't know. You got Robinhood, another market darling. And there's also, no, not on Robinhood, but on Palantir, there has been a whisper of rumors that Palantir is going to offer a stock split. So that could make things a little interesting. And if they do that, I imagine Palantir is going to go up. So pay attention to that. Listen out for that. Like I said, that is a rumor. It is not, something set in stone. It's just something that I've read a few analysts and some market players talk about recently, or maybe trying to leak. I don't know. Who knows what their intentions are, but it is a rumor and a whisper that could make things a little interesting if you really think about it. Again, on Wednesday, you got Robinhood. After that, it kind of quiets down. Maybe DraftKings could be a little fun. Datadog is pretty cool. QCOM, Wednesday after the bell. AMC, the apes, yeah, they're not doing anything. Six Flags, I know they got earnings coming up, and you had that Travis Kelce news on that one. So, and it's going to be an interesting week. Not to mention you got Berkshire earnings. So something to pay attention to. Nonetheless, pick your pick your favorites there and kind of go off of ARM. Is ARM going to finally hit 200? We'll see. All right, but enough of that. Screenshot this if you need it. You can always go to Earnings Whispers X feed and just download it and have it ready for the week. But all right, let's get ready. Let's look at some charts here. Starting out with the SPY Weekly, and this is just to point out the simple fact that we had this. It's a little bit of an ugly doji, if you ask me. Now, could this be the top? Who knows? It is just mainly a warning sign, like, hey, there's some indecisiveness, maybe some weakness finally showing up, especially on the weekly chart. We got a lot of the mega caps that did report some strong prints. Amazon blasted off, Google went haywire. I think Meta was the only one that didn't really do much of anything. So this could just be, a sign that, maybe we are running on some fumes right now. But nonetheless, trend is your friend. And if we go to the board here with the market readings that I provide, you can see here that the daily time frames, I don't have it, but the weekly time frames are also pretty much bullish alignment. But when you go into these smaller time frames, you can definitely see some of that hesitation. And even when you look at the charts, I mean, you don't even need this. You can just look at the charts and zoom out, zoom in, and you can see, okay, the daily time frames are looking good, but the smaller time frames do have this hint of hesitation to kind of pay attention to. There's some extreme, like, overbought signals here on the SPY and the QQQ daily, which is also a little bit of a warning flag. Now, by no means am I calling for a top, but I am suggesting that, yeah, maybe there's some weakness. But most importantly, I think it's important to really focus in on the technical levels here, especially now that we've gotten, a lot of the major earnings out of the way. So I'm going to zoom out. This is the S&P futures, the ES Z 2025. That's the December contracts that we're charting right now. If we scroll back here, I'm going to hide my drawings real quick just so we can look at the structure of it all. Let's zoom out. This is the hourly. So let's go back and review here. All right. So if we go back and look at this move here, starting, back beginning of September, we had like a 300, 200 point move, right? Of course, when I draw that, the drawings came back. From there, we consolidated, had a little bit of a bull flag breakdown. We also moved about 200 points here during the beginnings of October. We set up a bull flag. That bull flag broke down, had a little bit of a shakeout. From there, we had a reclaim, moved another 200 points, set up another bull flag, a little bit of this consolidation. That bull flag broke down again, a little bit of a shakeout. And from there, bulls reclaimed yet again. And from here, we've ran another incredible 250 points. Now, when we zoom back in here, I'm going to take the drawings away. We can see, all right, this is now a 15-minute chart. Actually, let me go back to an hourly so you can see this. All right, so here's our latest run. That's about 250 points. Now, we could argue, maybe we got ourselves another possible bull flag setting up for us. With that being said, are we going to see another breakdown? Is that weakness finally going to start rolling into some of these larger time frames? We don't know. There's some questions here, of course. And all this is technical based. I'm not rubbing or shaking a magic 8-ball, trying to predict the future here. You're not going to get predictions here. We're just going to be playing off of our levels here. So I'm going to zoom into a 15-minute chart and give you my levels here. And this is for tomorrow at least. And if you're in the Discord, you'll see this ES chart pretty much on a regular basis. We pretty much need to reclaim the 6882 on the ES. That is the FOMC low. You can also use the 6877. That is, just this key spot here when we zoom out. So if we can reclaim this zone, that would bode well for market bulls. And then really there's plenty of overhead levels. But if we start to get over the 6907, that will definitely put us in a good spot for market bulls. Now, on the downside of things, we do have the gap fill to play off of on the downside, which is about 68.42 down to about 68.35 and down to about 68.28. If weakness persists and we start to, fill some of this out and, fill this gap, then I would look for a reclaim of this level and push back up to about this key pivot around 68.69, 68.70, and so forth. Now, if we start to really break down and we lose 67.98, that is when, my cap starts to turn a little bit more on the bear side, because that means we are losing the CPI base breakout, and that is definitely naughty. And then that could spill over to where the bulls, this is like my very hard line in the sand down here at about 67.55, 56, where bulls need to continue to hold above this. Now, as long as bulls hold above this, technically speaking, we're still pretty bullish. But if bulls happen to lose this, that could definitely signal that, okay, maybe things are finally cooked here, and we can start to talk about a different narrative. Now, I know that was a good bit. There's a lot of levels to kind of play off of. If you need to pause the video, just pause it. Look at these levels, put them on your chart, do whatever you need to do, or rewatch and just hear me explain it again. But nonetheless, there's a lot of levels to play off to the downside, and there's a lot of levels to play off to the upside. So this makes the market a little bit easier because it's very so technical based, especially now that we've got a lot of the major earnings out of the way. Now I can go over here. Okay, well, what if I don't trade ES? Well, you can still use these ES levels and trade the SPY. But for those that just look at the SPY in general, we can type in the right symbol here, and you can see here SPY after market hours turned off, of course, with the SPY. Here's what we got. You can see this nice little run up here on the SPY from about 663 all the way up to about 690. Maybe we do get that little bit of a bull flag situation here that we can pay attention to. Here, I can draw it out for you. There you go. As long as we hold above about 680, you're doing okay. All right. Next level of support is going to be about 678.50 and 676.50. If we start to lose 676.50, there is a gap to fill all the way down to about 673, 672. If we do break out of this flag, let's say 685 to break out. If we break out of 685, your upside target is going to be about 690, and about 692 is where I'm going to mark it. So those are our key levels here to pay attention to on the SPY. All right, so I know that was a lot to take in. If you need to rewatch it, do so, screenshot it. It's very technical based. Just mark your levels and play off your levels. It's as simple as that. If you start to see breakdowns, especially in this market, failed breakdowns have been playing really well. Wait for levels to reclaim. Don't try to catch a falling knife, and so forth. So, play things to your advantage. Have your setup, and you should be good. Don't play crazy risk and get your butt kicked. So, always have stops. Always have profit targets, of course, and go off of that. All right, now, as far as individual names, to be honest with you, I'm not really looking too much at individual names all too much. I do have a few swings on the board, such as Bank of America. Financials continue to look pretty strong in general. Big banks doing well. Let's see, you got Healthcare names doing okay. I know Johnson & Johnson had some news on Friday, I do believe, so we'll see how that shapes up. You got big earnings from Robinhood and Palantir and Hims. We'll see what happens coming up. So, yeah, let's let things kind of play out. I think the key thing here is to watch the main indices and see where they want to go, especially, we talked about, this weekly indecision candle on the SPY. We'll see what happens and shapes up. So, yeah, jobs data on Wednesday to pay attention to. Other than that, let's let things open up. I know we did have some Trump and Xi Jinping news over the weekend. They're finally settling some deals. Maybe that sends us out of the bull flag and into higher prices. You're starting to get some FOMO, but to be honest with you, just play the levels and you'll be all right. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. Futures open up at 6 p.m. sharp, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, let them open up. Be good, trade smart, and I will see you in the Discord if you're there. If you're not, join the Discord because you're missing out on a lot. Not just me, you're missing out on Zach, Deeds, Jose, Lady, Duke, Aaron, Sabrina. I mean, all of our analysts are top notch. So join the Discord. I got a link down below. Use my code. All right. Be good. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.